Hello and welcome to taik18. I'm Mohammad Adnan, and in this video we are going to discuss about introduction to Microsoft Fabric. So we are going to talk about what is a Fabric and what are the use case of it, and also further more about this topic in this video. And later on we'll also have a demo sessions on that. So this part of the series is actually consist of introductions about PPT and some presentations, some theoretical concept, and then practical demo, which I'm going to cover on this part of Fabric Essential series. If you are new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. Now let's get started. So let's share my screen. So what is Microsoft Fabric? Microsoft Fabric is an end-to-end analytics platform that provides a single integrated environment for data professionals and the business to collaborate in the data projects. Right? It is address this customer problem like integration of various data capabilities to create holistic solutions was to work with. And data movements or duplications were usually required, and fragmentation solutions were hard to manage and costly. So that's the kind of overall picture. But if you want to talk about that in detail, it's actually a combination of data engineers, data scientists, and data analysts plus business analysts. So these people can collaborate on a single environment with unified platform and with the single copy of the data. So they don't need to copy data from one location to another location. There is no data movement is happening. So everything they can work on one single data, single source of truth. That's an amazing part here. Not only this is one, there are also amazing parts of that. We are going to discuss that in the upcoming videos here. So the major factor here is the data factory which we have, which will be useful for the data integration team, those who want to integrate with the help of Power Query or pipelines accordingly. So we'll talk more about that in the future slides. So now when it comes to this one, these are all a kind of workloads which we have it in Fabric. So on the top, you can see data factory, Synapse data engineering, Synapse data science, Synapse data warehousing, Synapse real-time analytics, Power BI, data activator. So these are all kinds of called as workloads, basically. So these are all workloads are actually backed by one lake, which where we are using the data stored location. So one lake is nothing but it's a kind of what we have one drive for our file is regular file. Similarly, it's a kind of one storage for our data. And this is backed by Purview, which we have security features inside to that. So we can have a single security layer. Still, we have additional security layers, like we can control the user level security, row level security, column level security, obviously. And on top of that, we have a beautiful thing of Copilot. So that's the beauty of Microsoft here. So they have integrated everything as a kind of Copilot in all their applications, whether it is for Power BI, whether it's for Data Factory, whether it is for Office 365, everything now they're collaborating with AI. Right? So we have a unified architecture here, unified experience, unified governance, and unified business model. So scalable analytics can be complex, fragmented, and expensive. With Microsoft Fabric, you don't have to spend all your time consuming various services from different vendors. So everything can be consist of single environment and can be managed within a single place. So that's the beauty of Fabric. Now, when it comes to end-to-end analysis here, so we want to split this into three different segments. So one is the kind of action and analytics. I mean, yeah, those things which comes around Synapse real-time intelligence, which we call it Synapse real-time analytics and observatory. So basically, Synapse real-time analytics and data activator is now called as Synapse real-time intelligence, just in real-time intelligence. So they are collaborate these two products together, and now they're called a new product which is called real-time intelligence. And on top of that, we have a business intelligence where you can use that. So we'll talk about that. What is the use case of that? So business analysis, you can aware of the Power BI, we can use for charts and other preparations. Whereas real-time intelligence is actually for data in motion. So let's say, for example, you have data coming from your IoT devices or from log files kind of thing. So you want to monitor that data on the fly. So you can also use that using Synapse real-time analytics. And you can also store the data into one lake for further analysis in Power BI. That's a beautiful thing. And the next thing here is move and transform, where we can have a data integration team, data engineers, and data warehouse and collaborate together in order to build, get the data from different sources and then do the transformation they need as per the business thing and then load it into a warehouse with the help of it. So everything is going to be stored even in the one lake itself. And finally, if you want to deploy your own model to get further insights and patterns, then the data science team can use Synapse data science so that they can build machine learnings on top of your data, which is available on the one lake. So all these things are offered as a kind of software as a service. So you don't need to have additional license for each and every product like you do it on the Azure. It's actually everything comes into one single capacity. So that is also one of the good features of Fabric. So this is the look and feel of the Microsoft Fabric home, where you can see the multiple workloads here. So these are all kind of default workload which comes from Fabric from Microsoft, Power BI, Data Factory, Data Activator, and Synapse Data Engineering, Synapse Data Science, Synapse Data Warehouse, and Synapse Real-Time Analytics. And on top of that, they also added newly features like industry solutions, where they are going to build the kind of what are the solution happening on the sales side, for example, and also on the other region sectors. They are going to build up add up features on futuristic. But the newly introduced one in the build 2024, this is the third-party workload. This is actually I really like the most, even though I'm not a third-party vendor. But in terms of when looking into the third party, there are certain many people or the many companies out there. Those are providing additional custom-made solutions. Like for example, we take consideration of Power BI, we have a custom visuals. So there are certain custom visuals which is built by the third-party vendors. So these are all a kind of custom visuals, right? So similarly, we have workloads here. So where the custom provider, the third-party provider, they can build their own workload, they can build their own solutions, customer solution with the help of Fabric environment here. So we can also add those three third-party workloads inside to the Fabric. So we can also directly purchase from that if you want to have a customized solution accordingly. So there are few available on that. There are still new things in the market, so it will come up more in future, like how we have a kind of 100 plus connectors, 100 plus visuals in Power BI. So this is how it will look like for the workload kind of thing. If you look into the left-hand side, you can see we have a workloads here, and where we are able to see the financial market, ARCs here, SAS. So there is the kind of third-party vendors where they are defined, deployed the workloads on this one. There may be some free, there may be some premium features. So we can also buy based on our requirement. So all these things built on one leg. I was talking since the beginning, one leg, right? So one leg is built on top of Azure Data Lake storage, where the data can be stored in any structured or unstructured, even the Delta Parquet file, CSV, JSON, and more. That's amazing, right? So usually we have data warehouse, SQL thing. We need to store only the structured value, but here we can add any kind of value because as we are booming in the data industry, data we are collecting from different sources, from different format. So everything we need to keep it in one single place, and from there we can use it for our analytic purpose. So in these cases, so we can have a built on one lake, which is the data lake storage. So we can dump all our data over there. So Delta is storing the data as a Parquet. So just as an additional layer over to it, advanced feature providing history of the event. So this is also one of the great features. So we can have version controlling of our data itself because it's stored in Delta Lake Parquet format. It keeps track of whatever the channel which you are going to do, which I'm going to also show you during the demo slides in the future videos. So Delta was developed to allow you to use single copy of both and batch and streaming operation. This is a breakthrough for that because if you are using kind of batch processing, batch in the sense you are loading up your data every day or every hour kind of thing. So it is going to update the bulk insert or delete kind of thing. It will do that, refresh your data. When it comes to streaming data, so it's going to be live near real-time data, which are getting the data from your IoT devices or log files. So this thing we call it as streaming options. So these two of the options are going to store it on the one leg itself for a further analysis purpose. And the preferred storage format is Delta Parquet due to its advanced feature, efficient handling of the big data, its support of ACID property, which is kind of atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. So these things are usually found for the SQL Server transactional table records. So it's mainly useful here. So we are adopting the same methodology here in the one lake itself on the Delta Lake format. So that's a great thing. And Fabric data warehousing, data engineering, Lakehouse, and notebooks, data integration pipeline, and data, everything, whatever workload which we have, even Power BI is going to get the data from the same single source. So data teams and Microsoft Fabric. So how they are going to split the workloads. Microsoft Fabric unified management and governance make it easier for data professionals to work together on a data project. So when it comes to data engineers, they can use the tools like the workload, data factory, data warehouse, data engineering, and real-time analytics. And when it comes to data scientists, they can use data science and machine learning. They can build the models on top of that. And when it comes to data analyst, they can use the data warehouse to get the data from there. You can also use the one lake, not an issue. And also they can use the real-time analytics and Power BI. For decision makers like the business users, they can also use Power BI and also they can use analyze in Excel feature using Microsoft Office 365. So these things, everything is backed by Purview, which you can also look into this image here. The data stewards here, we have two different icons. The first one on the left-hand side is basically the previous icon of Microsoft Purview, and on the right-hand side is called like triangle shape. It's a new icon for Microsoft Purview. So this is how we can able to integrate between our data team in order to give our fulfill our projects on that. So how to enable this Microsoft Fabric in your environment? So Fabric must be enabled in your tenant by either your Fabric admin, formerly known as Power BI admin. If they are, they can also go to the tenant settings and then enable the Fabric further. So they will get 60 days of trial capacity in order to test out whether this will work for you or not. And if you are Power Platform admin, then they can also switch on that. And if you are Microsoft 365 admin, you are also can able to turn on the Microsoft Fabric in your tenant. And the workspace must be then assigned to a capacity. Either you can purchase a Fabric capacity directly. I will also show you about the costing licensing in future videos. Or you can also buy a trial license which comes for 60 days. You can try it out and then further you can decide to purchase or not. So this is how it will look like on your tenant, admin tenant in Power BI settings, where you can go Microsoft Fabric Purview and user can create Fabric items. So you need to enable this turn on feature so that everybody can turn on. So it's not like entire people can get access to that. We have an option to specific user group also can able to use Microsoft Fabric, not everyone in your organizations. You have a total control over there. So that's it about the introduction about Microsoft Fabric. We'll talk more about that, about the further steps, further workloads one by one in our future videos. If you're new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. But make sure to turn on notification on your devices. Share it with your friends and colleagues. If you have any queries and feedback, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Keep learning. See you in the next video. Hello and welcome to taik18. I'm Mohammad Adnan, and in this video, we are going to talk about getting started with Lakehouse in Microsoft Fabric. If you're new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. Now let's get started. So what is the Lakehouse? Lakehouse. So the foundation of Microsoft Fabric is the Lakehouse, which is built on top of one lake, scalable storage layer, which is backed by Azure Data Lake Storage, and then and as well as Apache Spark and SQL compute engines for a big data processing. So data lake plus data warehouse is called as a kind of one lake storage for you. It is a flexible and scalable storage of data lake, and like I said, it's built on top of your Azure Data Lake Storage, and it also has additional functionality that is scalable distributed file storage. We have a flexible schema and on-read semantics and big data technology compatibility. When it comes to warehouse, we usually aware that it's a relational schema modeling, and we have SQL-based querying, proven basis for reporting and analytic purpose. So we can get your data, add to data lakes, one lake storage, and then you can query using our SQL server and build a report on top of it Power BI. It's a simple solution, but in reality, it has a lot to cover on that. All right, so explore the Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse. A data lakehouse presents as a database and it built on top of data lake using data format tables. So Lakehouse uses Spark and SQL engines to process large-scale data and support machine learning to predict modeling analytics. Lakehouse data is organized in a schema on-read format, which means you define the schema as needed rather than having predefined schema. This is a good thing. And Lakehouse support ACID property, which we discussed on a previous video, atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability transactions through Delta Lake formatted tables for data consistency and integrity. So we can also support that. Lakehouse are a single location. So for data engineers, for data scientists, for data analysts, and for access and use of data like business analyst for the business analyst. All right. So now when it comes to choosing our data, what we need to use. This is a kind of common question when usually people get in order to work on that. So this is a table which describes about which can be helpful for you. So one on the left side is the data warehouse, and then data lakehouse, and then Power BI data mart. So when it comes to data volume, we have unlimited for data warehouse and data lakehouse, whereas for data mart we only have 100 GB capacity. For type of data, we have a structured for data warehouse and also for data mart. Whereas for the Lakehouse, we can have unstructured, semi-structured, and structured data. And what is the role of who is going to use that? So for data warehouse, is going to be data warehouse developer or SQL engineers. Whereas for data mart, it's only citizen developers they can build on top of that. I mean, the lowest people they are mentioned here. Even the data warehouse and engineers also they can work on citizen Power BI data mart. For the Lakehouse, only data engineers and data scientists can build on top of that. What are the skill set they need for data warehouse SQL? For data mart, it's Power Query and SQL. But for the Lakehouse, it's kind of Spark, SQL, and Power Query. And the read operation, we can use Spark and T-SQL for every language. For the data mart, we can read into Power BI. Write operation, we can use T-SQL, and here we have data flow and T-SQL for data mart. When it comes to Lakehouse, we have a Power BI, Power Query, and then Spark, R, PySpark, SQL kind of thing, we can use that. So multi-table transaction, we can do it on warehouse, but not in Lakehouse and data mart. So development interface is SQL script. We have a Fabric UI for Lakehouse, and for data mart, we have a Power BI UI. So about security, we can have an object level security in SQL. We can use a stored procedure, column level security, DDL, MML kind of DML kind of thing. We can use that. But when it comes to Lakehouse, we have a row level security table when using T-SQL and none for Spark. So we don't have security on the Spark side. But we can build row level security in Power BI data mart on that. Access via shortcut is possible for Lakehouse, possible for warehouse, but not possible for data mart. And be a shortcut source. So yes and yes for Lakehouse and data mart. So not for data mart, but for yes for data warehouse and Lakehouse. And query across items. Yes, you can query across Lakehouse and warehouse tables. But for the Lakehouse, yes, query across warehouse and tables. Query across Lakehouse, including shortcut is in Spark. Now, if you look at this holistic picture, the versatile thing what you can see, the Lakehouse, right? So it provides a more flexibility options that can have structured, semi-structured, unstructured data. That's the world running right now. And you can use multiple skill set, SQL, Spark, and Power Query. We can work on the projects, and we can also have a row-level security on top of that. That's a specialized feature here. The reason why here is like, one is we are sure that we can get the unstructured, semi-unstructured data from the different sources, right? And if you have a team where they are not aware of Spark, for example, they are from the SQL background or they are citizen developers, they only know Power Query, still you can work on your projects using Fabric in Lakehouse. There is no one is going to stop you over there in order to use the Fabric, right? And slowly you can build your team and you can upgrade your team to improve their skill using a Spark and other languages in order to work on other projects in a different languages. Now work with Microsoft Fabric Lakehouses. So create and explore a Lakehouse. You create and configure a new Lakehouse in the data engineering workload, where you need to click on first data engineering from the left. From the bottom menu, you can get a click option. This will give the list of available workloads, and from there you can select data engineering. So once you click on the Lakehouse and create a Lakehouse, then it's going to get two different other additional items on top of that. So Lakehouse is a storage for metadata, where you interact with the files folder and table data. You have a semantic model which comes at the default. This is an automatic created data model based on the tables in the Lakehouse. Power BI reports can be built from that data set, but it is not a recommended one. We need to create our own semantic model and select the table specific what we need and then build a report on top of that. And we also have a SQL endpoint. It's a read-only SQL endpoint through which we can connect and query data using T-SQL statement. We can also build a report on top of that as well. We are actually I have already covered those things in my video, which is the actual practical demo on that. So this is how it will look like. You will see a Lakehouse, which is a kind of option, and then below to that you will see two things: semantic model default and SQL endpoints, analytics endpoint for you. So how you can ingest the data from into the Lakehouse, right? So this is an important part. If you have data engineers, so how you are going to bring your data from different sources into your Lakehouse. So you have manual upload options. You can upload your manual files, and then you can have a data flow Gen 2, which is one of my favorite, but it has a lot of flexibility. You can ingest from a different sources, do the transformation with the help of UI, and then load it into a different destination. That's the amazing part. So, and then we have a Spark notebook. If you are not a thing like me, I'm from SQL background, so I'm not much familiar with the Spark or Python, but the beauty here of the Spark notebook is we can use Spark SQL. If you are aware of .NET, you can also use Spark.NET. But if you are aware of Python, I also recommend you to learn Python as much as possible because that's a versatile language. It helps in many other different programming languages as well. So you can also learn Python. So if you are aware of that, and it's a simple thing itself, then you can use Spark Python as well. And then we have the data factory pipelines where you can copy data and orchestrate data processing activities one by one, how it has to flow, and then load it into different destination tables. That's also amazing part where we can use that. And on top of that, they have introduced two different features. One is a shortcut. So connect to an external sources such as OneLake or Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, and then you bring your data into this one. Shortcut is kind of just connection between your different sources, and then you bring your data directly into your Fabric environment here. Like you can also connect your Amazon S3 bucket, and what are the other things which are support Amazon S3 bucket, you can also connect through that into your environment here. And the next thing it is added here is kind of mirroring functionality, where you can use like Snowflake for connecting to that. From that, you can connect directly into Fabric. And the beauty of the mirroring is actually they are going to build here as kind of bidirectional thing here. If you're adding something, creating something on the Snowflake with the help of thing as a kind of background, backend support. I mean, Fabric, you are using as a backend for Snowflake. And if you're using that, then whatever you're going to write and create table on the Snowflake, it's going to update on the Fabric. And similarly, if you're going to add something on the Lakehouse using the Fabric, then it's going to reflect it on this Snowflake as well. But for this is the newly feature, is going to come in future, which is called an iceberg format. So far, we're discussing whatever we have at Lakehouse, it's a kind of delta parquet format. It's a kind of delta parquet format, right? But the new feature is going to come additional on top of delta parquet is iceberg format, which actually helps the Snowflake companies and those who are clients of the Snowflake. If you want to build their analytics into Fabric, then they can directly work on both the things at the same time. So that's an amazing feature which is going to come in future. Access data from Lakehouse. So now you have added your data into Lakehouse and how you're going to access that. So you can access data into Lakehouse via shortcut. Shortcut connect to external file storage of the OneLake, like I said. Shortcuts can be created in both the Lakehouse and KQL in real-time analytics, appearing as a folder in the Lake. This allows Spark SQL real-time analytics and analysis services to utilize a shortcut when querying your data. So amazing. So those things are really great. And choosing the Lakehouse transformation facility. So which one we need to use? Like I said, if you are from a different background, then you can select this screen, you can check out this screen, and then you can decide which one you need to do on that. So we'll talk about one by one use case here. We have differentiated this into pipelines, data flow Gen 2, and Spark here. The data flow Gen 2 here is not the similar of what we have it on the data flow in Power BI, because that doesn't have the functionality of destination, right? And because here data flow Gen 2 has the data destination where you can get a data from a different source and do the transformation and load it to a different destination. So that's the high advantage on that. So now the first use case here is pipeline. So data lake and data warehouse migration. So you can use data ingestion, lightweight transformations. Whereas here also we can do the data flow, data ingestion, data transformation, data wrangling, and data profiling. And Spark, we also do everything, data processing and data profiling also do that. So what is the role of that? So data engineer, data integrator can use pipeline. So data engineer, data integration, business analyst also can use data flow Gen 2 because the UI, everything is easier. Spark is basically for data engineer, data scientists, and data developers on that. So the roles we need to learn about SQL and JSON if you are for pipeline. For data flow Gen 2, Power Query, M language, and SQL. For a Spark, we need to have a Spark Scala, Python, .NET, Spark SQL, or R language. So code written, low or no code itself, but Spark, we need to have a pro code for that. I mean, you need to have a good development knowledge on that. So data volume, we can have a low to high in every aspect. Interface, we can have a wizard also, we have a UI on the pipeline, and also we can use manual on the canvas. For Power Query, then data flow Gen 2 is that backed by Power Query engine, that's beautiful. And for Spark, we need to have a notebook and a Spark definitions, we can make use of that. Connectors, you can see it here, 100% libraries on the Spark, whereas pipeline, we have only 30 connectors, 30 plus. For data flow Gen 2, we have 160 plus. So destination, 18 plus connectors we have for the different destinations. For the Spark libraries, we have 100 plus libraries, so we can use that and then load into different destination. But for the data flow Gen 2, we can connect to Lakehouse, Spark SQL, Spark Azure Data Explorer, and Azure Snap Analytics. As of now, maybe it will come in future for that. So transformation flexibility is the low itself for the pipeline. lightweight activity, type conversations, and column mapping, merging split files. This kind of transformation you can do only on the pipelines. But data flow Gen 2, you can have a multiple transformation. You can, if you're good in Power Query M language, you can also play around with the data here. And for the Spark, it's kind of high sports, so we can have a support for native Spark and open source libraries on that. But if you ask me personally, I worked on these different projects, and comparing these three technologies, I can say if you have a volume of huge, then it is preferred to go with the Spark engine itself, because that actually have a good in performance in the data processing part. So if you're working on a small and medium sized thing, then you can either use pipeline or data flow Gen 2. But if you're going for a big data transformation, then Spark is the first choice for me. Now we'll have a look into demo how this is going to work, and then we'll close the call. So before to that, if you're new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. See you in the demo. Hello and welcome to the Fabric series. The first part here, actually, I have taken up this link from this Microsoft learning.github.io/mslearn-fabric. So if you want to learn from yourself, you can check out this link. I will also add this in the description of the video so that you can learn by yourself. But here, those who are familiar with, those who are willing to learn through video tutorial, I'm going to create that. So this is going to be a 24 video series, and you can see here, we have a 24 part series available here. So it covers each and every topic of Microsoft Fabric. It covers also the Lakehouse, it covers also the Power BI, data warehouse, Synapse engineering, and as well as the data science, as well as data activator here. So whatever we have workloads in Microsoft Fabric, it is going to cover on this thing. Cool. The first one here, without wasting any further time, we have a create Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse. Even though the heading looks very simple, but in depth as we are creating those things, I'm going to talk about those workloads, and also we are going to talk about various methods where we can create those and ingest those information. So selecting the first one, create a Microsoft Fabric Lakehouse. So large-scale data analytics solutions have traditionally been built using a data warehouse. We already know that. So in which data is stored in relational tables and queried using SQL. We have a regular standard tables, columns, and rows. So we are getting the data from that SQL server. So the growth of big data characterized by the high volume of variety and velocity of the new data assets, like we have a semi-structured data, unstructured data, like we have a JSON, we have audio, video kind of thing. So these things are a part of that. And also together with availability at the low storage cost and cloud scale distributed compute technologies has led to an alternate approach to analytical data storage, and that is called data lake. So in data lake, data is stored as files without imposing a fixed schema for the storage. So increasingly, data engineers and analysts seek to benefit from the best features of both of these approaches by combining them into a data lakehouse. So that is where the data lakehouse comes in picture, in which data is stored in files in a data lake and relational schema is applied to them as a metadata layer so that they can be queried using traditional SQL semantics. In Microsoft Fabric, a lakehouse provides highly scalable file storage in a one lake store built on Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So with a metadata store for relational objects such as tables and views based on open source Delta Lake table format. Delta Lake enables you to define schema of tables in your lakehouse that you can query using SQL. All right, so first of all, we need to have a warehouse. So for that, I just need to create, I'm now logging into Microsoft Fabric here. As you can see, app.powerbi.com, but yeah, that's the default thing. So if you can also open from app.powerbi.com here. So once you click on the left-hand side, the workspace, and if you are a kind of higher role other than viewer, then you can able to see the new workspace option here. So you need to click on the new workspace. Your admin need to enable this feature on the tenant setting. If it is not enabled, then you can just check out with admin either to create a workspace for you, or you can make use of creating a new workspace by yourself. So you need to give it a name here, and here at the bottom we have advanced options where we need to select what capacity license mode you want to have. So Pro is there, which is a regular one, Power BI Pro, and then here you have a trial license, premium per user, premium capacity, embedded, and fabric capacity.
So here I'm right now using up here trial version, which can be taken up for 60 days. And you can see on the top, it is only 28 days left here. So at the bottom, we have fabric capacity. In future, the premium capacity also will be go away from here after July 2024. But here, if you have a premium, you can make use of that and convert into fabric. And if you directly have a fabric capacity, then you can directly use that. So for now, I'm going to use here trial version and then click on apply changes. It's going to create a new workspace for me here. So as you can see, demo TP600, which is the name I have given up here, lab02 here. You can also rename the table name, I mean the workspace name, by selecting the workspace setting on the top right. And here I'd like to give here, instead of demo fabric, I'd like to give it here as fabric. So demo fabric lab02 here, because it's not just covered DP600 topics, it also covers other topics as well, which is not covered part of a DP600 exam. So that's why I'm just changing the name to be demo fabric lab02. All right. So here on this one, we have multiple options where you can create here. So at the bottom of your screen, you have a data engineering, right, selected, but by default, if you log in through app.powerbi.com, it will be a Power BI workload over there. So these are all, we call it as a workload, and whatever inside to that, we call it as an item for that. So here we need to select data engineering first in order to create a lakehouse. And then we need to click on new. And here we have a different items here where we can create on that. But first of all, I'd like to create a folder. That's a beautiful feature, even though it is still in preview, but it's a beautiful feature that we can organize our work here. So I'd like to give it a name here, lab01, and then click on create. And let's go inside to this folder, like we are actually going it through our Windows Explorer. So clicking on new, and then we have a lakehouse here. So we need to give it a name here. So it has to be, I'd like to give the first of all, this is a lake house. So just give it here lake house underscore lab01 underscore 01. So let's go through this one itself. All right. And then click on create. As simple as that. We don't need to select any kind of resource, compute, capacity, nothing else. This is backed by the workspace and it covers everything over there. We don't need to do any kind of steps over here. That's pretty good. So this is the Lakehouse, the home screen. And here on the left hand side, you can see we have an Explorer where we have two options, tables and files. Like we discussed on the initial thing, we can import the files here, or we can also have a tables here. And here on this part in the center canvas, we have upload files and we can manually upload our files. We can also use data flow gen 2 for that. We can also use data pipelines if you have, and also we can also use the open notebook, which is Apache Spark notebook. And also we can create a shortcut from other different sources, access the data that resides in an external table, which we are going to talk about that later part of this video. And also we have a start with sample data. We have an existing sample within the fabric, so you can make use of that. All right, on the top we have options about the regular menu where you can create a Power BI data set, which is a semantic model, or also you can open or create a new notebook here. And also we have a get data experience here. So once you click on that, then this is given the same option which you are all able to see at the bottom of your screen. All right, so first of all, I'd like to create a folder inside to the Lakehouse itself. So in the file section, you can click on this three dot, and then we have an option about we can create a new shortcut, we can create new subfolder, or we can directly upload here. It is good to create a subfolder itself. So clicking on subfolder and give it a name. I'm just giving here as a data, and then click on create. It's as simple as that. It's just creating a folders in our Windows Explorer. So clicking on this part, and here we can option three dot icon, click on that, and here we have option to upload files or folder. So I want to upload one single file. So clicking on this one, either we can select files manually, or we can, yeah, we need to paste it manually here itself. So selecting on this one, I have this location. So paste on this location. I need to select this one, L1 sales.csv, and then click on open. So this is going to add that one. If the file is already available and you want to overwrite the existing file, then you can check out these options and then click on upload. And it is based on your internet connectivity. It is going to import that, and now it is 3 MB file. It's imported on to our Lakehouse. That's cool. So if you want to preview that CSV file, because this is in CSV, so it may be semi-structured data what we have. So if I click on that, then it's going to show us the information how it actually works. As this is a comma separated value itself, so most of the structure is pretty much good. Then now what's the next step? The next step here is we need to convert this into a SQL table. I mean the delta, so that into the tables part. So table here is refers to as delta lake format, which we have discussed at the earlier stage. So it's going to be the delta lake table format, and this is Apache. This is actually the open parquet file. So here we need to create on this three dot icon, and then we have option about load to tables and new tables. So once you click on that, it is asking about the new table date. So we like to give it here sales, for example, and file type. So it's selecting the file type. The file type load folder to new table. All fields are marked as this one. Name can be include letters, numbers, and uppercase. What is the file type here? So you can only load files of the same type at once. So including subfolders, yeah, if you want to have multiple files, you can use that. So right now I have this CSV. Let's select CSV here, and it is comma separated value here. So separators cannot use following characters here on this one. Yeah, click on load, checking the files, and now it's trying to load the files from the CSV into the table section here. So it will take time depending upon the volume of the data which you have on that particular file. Yeah, it is added here. So you want to refresh it here, you can just click on this one and click on refresh. Then you can expand this one, you should see a new table here. So you can also see a triangle symbol beside to the table structure. So which refers to delta lake table here, and it's an open parquet format. And here, if you click on this table, then you can see the clearly structured table, which is showing up here, and all the amount which you can hear. So this is the Lakehouse view. So we can able to access the files and tables from here. On the top right, we have an option about Lakehouse, and also we have another option which is called SQL Analytics Endpoint. So query data using SQL. So that's beautiful. So if you are familiar with data warehousing and you are familiar with the T-SQL statement, then you can easily use this option to query your data. So I made a separate course and video series on that, the SQL, how you can use that. So if you haven't seen that, I recommend you to go and watch that video so that you can easily go ahead from this sequence. All right, so here this is the table shows itself here, and you can see it's actually showing up look and feel like we have it on the SQL server. So we have a DBO schema, we have a tables, views, functions, and stored procedure. Everything we have the similar kind of thing here. So at the bottom we have a data which is showing up here right now, and we can see the structure of the table, and then we have a query model. So when you click on the query, then this is going to open up a new tab where is going to give as a T-SQL kind of look and feel. So here we can use to query our tables. So if you drag and drop to this table here, so it has given up a Lakehouse name and then the schema and then the table name. So just type here select top 10 start from this one. So when you run on this one, then it will give the generated result here. So now you can see a top 10 record which is showing up here for each and every column here. That's how beautiful it is. We can query as per our need here. Not only that, we can also query anything. So right now, for example, we have a quantity and unit price, but we don't have a sales amount. So for that, you can also create comma and then quantity multiplied by unit price has sales amount. And then click on run. Then this is going to create a 10 row table and then one more column here with multiplication of this and this showing up the value here. That's beautiful. Yeah, it's a regular T-SQL statement itself. We can query as per our requirement here. All right. The next one here is a new visual query on the top here. So if you click on that one, then it's going to add a new tab also here. And at the bottom also you can see it has created one by one step here. If you want to convert this into view, we can also do that. So we are going to cover that in the next video series. But for here, this is the one. So to build a query, drag your tables here. So I need to drag and drop the table, which is a sales, and drag here. So this is going to be give the look and feel of our query. So where we can visually change our data here. So here the option to reduce the rows, sort, transform, combine, save a view kind of thing. So if you want to combine something, I mean, to transform something like group by. So here I'd like to group by sales order number. It has to be count by number of rows, as simple as that. So when you click on OK, then this is going to add a new step. And you can see we have only two rows, two columns here, sales order number and the count here. That's beautiful. So if you want to save as a view, then you can also save a view here, which is going to show as the view result on this here. On the top, we have a save view, so you can click on that here. So, okay. The third option, which we have it here as a model one. So when you click on this model, then this is going to give the feel of Power BI Desktop model view. So where we can see all our tables here. You can just click on this arrow to collapse this window and also this one also. All right. Now, even though we just added only one table, but still it can have multiple tables here, like execute request history, session history, run queries, and long running queries, and also we have a sales here. So we have all these tables which is coming up on a default semantic model of this Lakehouse. So it is not recommended to create any report from this default thing here. We had to create a separate data set and then from how to build a report on top of that. So even though we have a new report, we can create from here, but it is not recommended one. So when you click on reporting here on the top, we have an option about new semantic model. So you need to click on new semantic model. So you can create multiple semantic model based on your requirement here. So I'd like to give it here, which is what we are giving one here, lab 01. This has to be semantic model. So SM lab 01 underscore 01 here. And at the bottom, if you scroll down, it will give the list of available tables what we have. So we just need to select only the required table for this particular reporting. If you have information about the sales, finance, and HR kind of thing, and if we are going to build only for the sales, then we just need to select the sales here, because it's not going to load unnecessary information into that semantic model here. If you are not familiar with the latest terminology, Power BI dataset is now called as a semantic model. All right, I'm just selecting this sales and then click on confirm. Then this is going to create a new semantic model, and from there we can open up, build our report on top of that. So this is also taking a time based on your resource availability here. Yeah, it is added here and it is open up in a new tab. And this look and feel will be feel like the same model view in Power BI desktop. Yeah, you can see. As this is connected to direct lake here, the connection what we have it is a third connection. Usually we have import and direct query. And this connection actually is refers to as a direct lake connection here. As you can see, the storage also showing up here at the direct lake itself. Right, when a mouse over here, showing up direct lake connection. It means it is directly fetching the data from the lake house here. It's not going through any other medium here. But if you want to convert this into direct query, then also we can do that if you're adding up any additional data inside to this one. And also you can see there is some limitations as of now using a direct query mode while I'm recording this video, where I cannot able to create a new column and a new table using DAX here. All right, we can create a measure, we can create calculation group, we can create manage rows, new report, and edit tables also. So let's create on new tables here. Actually, the relationship between the tables, if you have a multiple tables, then you need to build the relationship on this data semantic model itself. You should not have to build any relationship on the fabric data set, default data set. You have to create here itself. While this is loading, if I go to the workspace here and click on the workspace from the left menu, then you can see this lab which we have used here, and there's one which is the type here is showing up here as semantic model. If I mouse over here, it's showing up here as a default. Default, it means it has a default semantic model from here. All right, so we need to create this one, the report, and here on the top you can see we can also create a new measure. If you want to create a new measure, then we need to go to that model view and create a measure and come back here itself. So for now, I can just click on the customer name and then click on quantity so that we can have it on any visual. It's just a starting case. So this is the customer and this is sum of quantity, and you can also change the graph if you want. Yeah, this showing up the value here. So everything, the look and feel, the format, everything is available like how we are using up in Power BI desktop. So finally, we need to save this one. On the top right, we have save this report, and this has to be under lab one. This is the, we can give it a name here, sample report. So RP underscore lab 01. That's it. And 01. It has to be 01. All right. Now, if I go back to this report, and yeah, this is going to show us the report here. That's beautiful. And if I go back to the workspace, lab 02, and if I refresh it here, the workspace, now I can able to see this one, which is the data set and default data set showing up here. If I click on about to this one, this data set has created outside of this folder. Now, if you want to move this thing into this folder, then I just need to select here. On the top, we get a new option, which is a move. Click on the move, and here I need to select lab 1 and move here. So it's actually going to just change the location of that. It's not going to have any impact on performance. It's not going to have any impact on the connection and everything. So here you can see report and semantic model. If I click on the lineage view for this, then you can see how this actually flows. It flows from the Lakehouse and it goes from default semantic model, which is a SQL endpoint here. And then we have a two semantic model. One is a default, another is the semantic model, which I created here. And then we build the report on top of that. So this is how it actually going through the information in order to get the data on that report. All right, this is the first lab series on this out of 24 one. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you like this video, just hit the big thumbs up button if you're new to this channel, or if you haven't subscribed it, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notifications. But make sure you turn on the notification on your devices. Share it with your friends and colleagues. If you have any queries and feedback, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Keep learning. See you in the next video.